Christmas Day is here. Now, originally, it was planned to be, I was going to do like a little, a Christmas cover, but my asthma kind of kicked up a bit throughout this past week, so I couldn't have the time to do it. So, hopefully next year I might do something. We'll just have to wait and see. So, yes, everybody, Merry Christmas to all my fellow viewers out there, but today's video, of course, on Christmas Day is going to be my Oscar nomination predictions for the month of December and the last prediction video for the big 8 categories. Only just those categories. And then we'll do a final prediction as I will be predicting all 23 categories before the nominations are announced. So, even though this is not a Christmas video, but it is in the month of December. Let's just say what it is. So yeah, I will be predicting the screenplays, the acting categories, director, and best picture, as well as one bonus thing, but not a prediction of a category, but another kind of prediction I'm kind of doing that's not really technically in the game, but see how I do. In terms of the state of the race, well, the massive award season's kind of beginning. We've been getting a lot of critic groups having their nominations and winners. National Board of Review came out, and Top Gun Maverick was the Best Picture winner. And some of the other big critics groups, as I mentioned, with New York and LA, with New York giving it to Tar, and Everything Everywhere All at Once tying in for Best Picture at Los Angeles. Hollywood Critics Association announced their nominations, and we have gotten our nominations for the Golden Globes and Critics' Choice Awards. So that means, yes, prediction videos will be coming soon throughout the beginning of this upcoming month of 2023. And there have been a couple of films that have been finally getting some of their official releases, whether it be on their streaming platforms on Netflix or the biggest release of Avatar: The Way of Water. That movie has finally been out, as well as a couple of other films as well. Some of the festival films and some others like Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, or as of this day when this video is out, A Man Called Otto has finally been released. So, once again, I will be going through the categories here and see what would I have right now for the month of December. So starting up for adapted screenplay, and remember this is for the month of December, I've got Rian Johnson for Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, Guillermo del Toro, Patrick McHale, and Matthew Robbins for Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Kazuo Ishiguro for Living, Rebecca Languesh for She Said, and Sarah Polley for Women Talking. So, 4 of the candidates have been remaining since September with Glass Onion, Living, She Said, and Women Talking. And I believe, if I'm correct, this was... was it, or wasn't it another month? Trying to think here. I think this was my September lineup, unless if I'm mistaken. As you might notice, this category has been kind of barren when in terms of contenders, because some of the ones have been getting in with Glass Onion, Living, She Said, and Women Talking. Women Talking being the only adapted nominee at the Golden Globes. The other 3 he had made in Critics' Choice. Del Toro's Pinocchio has not shown up yet. And right now, the movie has been a little bit underperforming in terms of some of the other awards like Critics' Choice and some Critics Associations. But the thing is why I still have it in here, not because critics groups have been nominating it, even Hollywood Critics Association, but I can almost actually see in the BAFTAs going with Del Toro's Pinocchio, because of course, animated films are ineligible for WGA, and that's going to be a thing when we get to the Writers Guild. We'll have to find out which films are going to be ineligible. Now, we know for a fact Glass Onion will be there because the first Knives Out was there, and I think Sarah Polley would be there because I believe her documentary Talk to Her was nominated for documentary screenplay. I think she was in for Away from Her, but I think that was the year of the writer's strike. So, That's the thing why. So with Del Toro's Pinocchio, I just have it as the fifth spot. Some people have it as the possible outside candidate. So that's what I am going with it right now. The Whale was at Critics' Choice, but I'm not sure right now how that movie would do. I don't, of course, obviously the eligibility is still questioning things, but also we'll see what's in the BAFTA long list. And if Del Toro's Pinocchio is not at the long list at BAFTA, that could be some troubling here. So, I still have Women Talking as the front runner here for the adapted screenplay. Pretty much everybody has, unless if that movie keeps failing nominations, which we'll talk about later. Maybe this could be Glass Onion. So, but Sarah Polley is still very confident to win this category. Before I just mention here real quick, I do want to apologize. It is kind of a bit kind of extremely windy outside, and so I do apologize for the background noise that you might be hearing, and even I know one of the garments in one of the outside house decorations is kind of going cuckoo. So moving on, for original screenplay, I've decided to go with a snub here that really could be a possibility, because they really do want to go in the inspirational route instead of going the typical way on that, because there could be something that this movie could be like what happened with Mank back 2 years ago. I have Charlotte Wells for After Sun, Marta McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Schneid for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Todd Field for Tar, and Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. So I have snubbed Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner for The Fabelmans here. So I kind of have it going in the Mank route, in that where it's most likely going to get in everywhere, including in Writers Guild, of course, but it might miss the Oscar nomination. And that's because right now, although Globes and Critics' Choice are kind of a thing, but it's just like a lot of predictors out there feel like that, although it's kind of like a movie centering around a little bit of filmmaking, but hinking, and it's kind of more about Spielberg's childhood, there's just not like a lot of passion going on with a lot of the predictors. But there could be a lot of passion votes for films such as After Sun and Triangle of Sadness, which both could make it at the BAFTAs. After Sun was at Critics' Choice for Original Screenplay, and Triangle of Sadness was nominated for Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy at the Golden Globes. So yeah, this is the first time I have Triangle of Sadness in my Oscar lineup for prediction's sakes, and it's interesting I finally did it. So, Banshees, Everything Everywhere All at Once are basically the battling out for this one, and everyone is assuming Banshees would most likely win like massive critic prizes, definitely front runner stage for Golden Globes, maybe Critics' Choice, and probably the BAFTAs, because the thing is they did give it to him for In Bruges, and also for 3 Billboards, so I could see them McDonagh winning Globe and BAFTA like he did for 3 Billboards, but remember, McDonagh is not a member of the Writers Guild, and that's why I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is definitely more likely to win the Oscar. I could also see it winning Critics' Choice, and it would win the Writers Guild. Tar is pretty much confident there. So, like, if there are 3 that are most likely going to not go anywhere, are Banshees, Everything, and Tar. And as you can see, all of my 5 nominees were solely handily written by their directors respectively. I know Spielberg did with The Fabelmans, but Tony Kushner was a co-writer. But this is just like all 5 of the directors wrote the scripts for their own movies. After Sun, expected to do well the BAFTAs. I have discussed about this in the last episode, so I don't need to explain much again, but I'll probably summarize it. So, After Sun's Best Picture winner of the British Independent Spirit Awards. Expect Charlotte Wells to get in director over there at the BAFTAs through courtesy of the jury. Paul Mescal for actor. Maybe the young actress that's in the movie, Frankie Coral, that's the name. So, yeah. So I have the Fabelmans pulling out here for a Mank here, and when I was doing my predictions, I'm not really confident a little bit in the Fabelmans, but I feel like with the passion behind both After Sun and Triangle of Sadness, I can see they can both get in over like the Fabelmans. But the battle is between McDonagh and the Daniels, and I have the Daniels out front here for original screenplay. while there are mainly like 2 or 3 potential candidates in some of the other categories, let's talk about how many candidates that could get in for supporting actress. Let me tell you. Oh boy, this is like combining Critics' Choice and the Golden Globe lineups. It's just insane how many candidates could potentially get in. There might even be some that we're not even thinking here. And even ones that actually did not make it that still could get in at SAG or BAFTA. So I decided to kind of like what I think if I combine the Globes and Critics' Choice lineup and what I think the industry might go with, especially like for a BAFTA jury or stuff like that. Or even for SAG and the BAFTA jury as well. So for supporting actress, I have gotten Jessie Buckley in Woman Talking, Carrie Condon in The Banshees of Inisherin, Dolly De Leon in Triangle of Sadness, Stephanie Hoos in Everything Everywhere All at Once, or Hoos. I still cannot even pronounce what it is. And Carey Mulligan in She Said. So, let's talk about the infamous Jamie Lee Curtis thing for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, yeah, we know who she is in the Halloween series, of course, but everyone's been saying that is not the right performance to go with. The Globes nominated her and not Stephanie Hoos, and Hoos and Curtis both got double nominated at Critics' Choice. And Curtis could be more of a SAG favorite just because of who she is, but Hoos would definitely be more like a BAFTA favorite for the jury. And I feel like Hoos would more likely get in. I also feel the same thing with Dolly De Leon, where I think the BAFTA jury could help her get her in there for Triangle of Sadness thanks to that Globe nomination. Carey Mulligan also got in for the Globes, She Said, and she can most likely be a SAG nomination as well. Because everyone has been saying just because, like, there are some notable people that would usually get in, and everyone has assuming that Mulligan would most likely get in for SAG for She Said. BAFTA's probably not for the jury, especially since the jury snubbed her for Promising Young Woman. But speaking of the BAFTA jury, now from what I heard for the acting categories, it's now, instead of the top 2 votes that are voted by everybody, it's going to be a top 3 vote. So like, for when we see the long list, whoever had the most votes based on that long list, the top 3 that had the most votes, they're automatically the nomination, and the other 3 are chosen by the jury. So it's now even for both sides, and Hoos and Dolly De Leon could definitely make it for the jury if they're not top 2. Buckley, although she and Claire Foy both missed the Golden Globes and showed how Women Talking did not do well at the Hollywood Foreign Press. Wow. But Buckley feels like the more likely candidate for Women Talking, like an Afterglow nomination, because Claire Foy has yet to be nominated. I could still see both Buckley and Foy making it BAFTA because of the British thing, and also the jury could help Foy get back in this track. It's just how SAG is going to do. If SAG adds more contenders, then we don't know what's going to go on. So basically, the only person that feels confident the most that has showed up in both, other than Jamie Lee Curtis, is Angela Bassett in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which I don't have her in here. Like, SAG, definitely yes. I have stated last time I see her getting in at SAG. BAFTA jury, I don't think so. I think the BAFTA, unless she is top 3, if she is the top 3 in that, I could still see the Academy snubbing her. Like, she can still get all the way through, but miss the Oscar nomination for a very small performance from what I heard. Basically, the only person that feels more confident that could potentially be the frontrunner, although not people are very confident yet, right now I'm going to go with Carrie Condon as my frontrunner for supporting actress. Although she's not really unknown for American audiences, but this is definitely a movie many people have been talking about her and her performance, and I feel like I'm going to switch the route from going from Buckley to Carrie Condon. So, but it really could be anybody here. So, this is the one category I think everyone is almost fighting it out for a nomination. Going into supporting actor, I have Brendan Gleeson in The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway, Judd Hirsch in The Fablemans, Barry Keoghan in The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ki-Hugh Kwan in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Ki-Hugh Kwan's just basically the one person that is unbeatable this year. He has won every single Critics' Prizes. Everyone has been saying he's the front runner. Like, this is the performance that cannot lose. It's like the performance of the year that is not losing anything. It's like when Chloe Zhao won all the director awards for Nomadland, and technically even Nomadland for Best Picture. Like, if there is one actor that is basically going to be winning everything, is Ki-Hugh Kwan. He's the only one that's confident, and also his speeches, I believe, that are helping him getting through these wins. So I'm very curious what he has to say when he wins a Gloden Critics' Choice. So, interesting enough, The Fablemans has been a little bit underperforming a little bit. Didn't get either Paul Dano or Judd Hirsch in at Golden Globes, but they both make it a Critics' Choice, along with both Brendan Gleeson and Barry Keoghan for Banshees of Inisherin. So there could be a scenario where there could be two films getting double supporting actor nominations. But at the moment, I'm going more towards Banshees instead of The Fablemans. Although Paul Dano has yet to get nominated, but I think with the momentum of Judd Hirsch's scene he has, will probably pull him up to get nominated. Brian Tyree Henry was also at Critics' Choice. Definitely I could see SAG putting him in there. I don't think he won't make it at BAFTA, courtesy of the jury. I think Hirsch would definitely make it at BAFTA for the jury. Paul Dano would more likely be at SAG, and Hirsch not by much. I don't think Keoghan would not make it at SAG. But let's talk about somebody who's not here, and that's Ben Whishaw in Women Talking. BAFTA could really help him out, but if it's like SAG, could be the thing. And if Women Talking doesn't get any acting nominations, individual ones other than ensemble, that's going to really hurt Wishaw's chances to get nominated. And it could be Buckley that might be the more likely shot. Because Whishaw both missed Globe and Critics' Choice with Claire Foy. And, oh boy. And the fact, even though everybody has said he's really good, but I think because the title is Women Talking, I feel like they want to nominate the female performances instead of some of the male antagonist role. I don't know if Whishaw is one of those in the antagonist side, so I don't really know. I can't really tell you, so no spoilers. But I'm just gonna go in that movie completely blind when I go to my marathon. So, but if there is anything to say about it, is that Ki-Hugh Kwan is not losing. But there is also Eddie Redmayne in The Good Nurse that also got in a Globe, which is interesting because Jessica Chastain was not nominated for actress in a drama because the Globes love her. So that's another thing. So another contender in there. I mean, what else? It's just like Brad Pitt in Babylon is another one, but I don't know if his controversies with him and his ex-wife might hurt his chances. Oh boy, because Babylon has finally been released, and I'll talk about that more when we get into picture. So it's just Ki-Hugh Kwan's not losing, Banshee's most likely to get the double nomination, and Senior Momentum could put Hirsch in, and I think Passion votes for Brian Tyree Henry. Okay, Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody has finally been released. Very mixed reception. Not in the levels of like a little bit lower than Bohemian Rhapsody, but not like panned. So, just even adding the Whitney Houston title, that's a legit failed Oscar bait movie. So, I took Naomi Ackie out finally for the first time, and I think I'm going to ask this question. Does anyone not have, for Best Actress, Cate Blanchett in Tar, Viola Davis in The Woman King, Daniela Deadwyler in Till, Michelle Williams in The Fablemans, and Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once? So the question is, why did Deadwyler miss the Globe? Why did she miss it in place of Olivia Colman in Empire of Light, or especially Ana de Armas in Blonde? And probably the latter was the one who took Daniela Deadwyler out, because Colman was a little bit more higher than Ana de Armas. And Empire of Light's reviews also been out very mixed, and some people said it's just that it's very a too complicated movie. So yeah, this is the first time I have The Woman King showing up somewhere in my predictions, because I was a little bit hesitant a bit, because of how that movie was gonna do, if it was gonna lose momentum. But since we are losing, I lost a contender. Might as well go with her, and this could be the SAG 5, unless if they do really love She Said that much that Zoe Kazan could come in here. I think regardless, Blanchett and Yo are definitely top two, maybe top three for Michelle Williams for the leading actress category. It's just like I can see Dead Weiler missing BAFTA if the jury does not go with her. Viola Davis, I don't think won't happen at BAFTA. And keep in mind, she was not even nominated for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, so that's the thing. I think this would definitely be the SAG 5, and this would most likely be your Oscar 5. All 5 of these, I believe, were all at Critics' Choice, along with who was it at Critics' Choice? Because wasn't Leslie Manville, wasn't Emma Thompson, it wasn't Anna Taylor-Joy. Oh, Margot Robbie in Babylon. That's the only other person that could also get in SAG over somebody like Detweiler or Davis. But I don't have Robbie in here for right now. That would have to see if she will show up in my final prediction. So she could be the only acting nomination for Babylon that would most likely to make it. So SAG really could tell us, is this the 5 or is it not? So, and with The Woman King kind of getting a little bit of the high momentum a bit, especially with its standalone, I believe it was in both standalone director nomination, which I don't know why the Critics' Choice put 11 in for direct. No, 10 in director and 11 in picture. That's just ridiculous. Oh boy. But if I would have to say right now, the battle is between Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh. Yeoh has a lot more critic wins than Blanchett does, but Blanchett really could be the thing Tar could give it. But if there is a lot more passion for Everything Everywhere All at Once, they could give it to Michelle Yeoh, especially at SAG. But I feel like right now I have Blanchett at front still to win her 3rd Oscar for Tar. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for Best Actor, I thought he was going to do the Taron Egerton thing this season, but nope. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Best Actor lineup for the first time, Austin Butler in Elvis. Yep, I finally added Austin Butler for the first time in my lineup, joining with Colin Farrell in The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser in The Whale, Bill Nighy in Living, and Germany Pope in The Inspection. So, Elvis, it's... boy, how crazy it just went when Baz Luhrmann got that director nomination at the Golden Globes and the motion picture drama category over Women Talking. That's just insane. Like, people said, okay, if Elvis was going to get anything in the Big 8, it would just be Butler. But now it's in the conversation for director and picture. That's just, oh my gosh. And Brendan Fraser really has a little bit of a hurt momentum a bit. He does have got in for both Globe and Critics' Choice, but because of Fraser almost getting, I believe, blacklisted or blackmailed by somebody in the Hollywood Foreign Press, I don't remember what, he is obviously not attending the ceremony, and because of that, the Globes could just not put Austin Butler in. And since Elvis is more likely for a Best Picture contender, I'm going to switch it up, and I think Austin Butler will win the Oscar. So I don't know Brendan Fraser. I can see Fraser still winning SAG, but I just have Austin Butler out front right now. Colin Farrell has a lot of critic wins, and I can almost see Colin Farrell winning Critics' Choice. Like, I could see, like, Colin Farrell and Austin Butler for the Best Actor race. It would be like the Michael Keaton, Eddie Redmayne race in 2014 and the Christian Bale and Rami Malek race in 2018. So they would both win their respective Globes. Farrell would win Critics' Choice, and Butler would win the others. Farrell could win BAFTA. He could win BAFTA, and then, Fraser could win SAG. And then, Butler could only be a Globes thing, and it could be, a 3-way battle, but right now, because with Elvis being a big Best Picture nominated contender, and some people had him as, the runner-up to Brendan Fraser for many people, I'm gonna say Austin Butler. I didn't want to go with him, even though I haven't seen Elvis yet, but it's just like I was doing the whole Taron Egerton thing, and it looked like it's unlikely. As for Germany Pope, I can actually see him being like what Viggo Mortensen did when he got in for Captain Fantastic. Get in SAG, probably a BAFTA jury pick, and that could lead him towards the Oscar. Bill Nighy, I think I'm confident he's going to get most likely top 3 at BAFTAs, unless some reason the jury doesn't go with him if he doesn't make it in top 3. But I'm very confident there is going to be at least one Sony Pictures Classic performance that will make it. So Austin Butler I have out front right now, but I can almost see the scenario where it's going to be a massive race between Butler, Farrell, and Fraser. Alrighty, for Best Director, I am not confident in this lineup because I feel like I'm a bit worried this might be the Directors Guild lineup. And if it is, then I know this is not going to be the 5 that's going to happen. There was one person here that I finally put in here because of how the film is getting more of a stronger chance for Best Picture. I also took somebody out that could definitely leave the news media bitching, complaining about what's not here. And then finally, I have put in somebody in here because it's happening. It began at Globes, it began at Critics' Choice. I don't know if the BAFTAs would go for it, but definitely like Directors Guild would be. So, ladies and gentlemen, like Austin Butler, welcome to the Best Director lineup for the first time in my lineup, James Cameron for Avatar: The Way of Water. It is happening, folks. Joining with, also on my list for the very first time for director, Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, along with Daniel Kwan and Daniel Schneid for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, and Todd Field for Tar. So I have snubbed Sarah Polley for Women Talking, and that Golden Globes performance for Women Talking really hurt Polley a little bit for a nomination. Now, BAFTA would definitely put her in here, but it would be like if Sarah Polley is Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, or is she Greta Gerwig for Little Women? And I have Sarah Polley going in the route for Little Women, because since I also don't have Claire Foy for supporting actress or Ben Whishaw in here for supporting actor. So you're definitely going to see the return of the hashtag Oscar So Male category. So that's the unfortunate thing. Now, if she does get in, I feel like she could take over either Todd Field or Martin McDonagh. Now, the reason why I haven't went with Martin McDonagh was because of that 3 Billboard snub. But The Banshees of Inisherin is now like a top 3 contender. A top 3 contender next to Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Fabelmans. So yeah, that's your top 3 now for Best Picture. Not Women Talking anymore. So that's why I have McDonagh in here. Now, Field could be the one that could actually go if they already have if they want to put somebody. Because Spielberg, I don't see him missing. Now, I am a little bit confident Spielberg would most likely win at Globe and probably Directors Guild or something like that. But I have, like many people, the Daniels out front for Best Director now. Because, once again, there's not a lot of high passion going on with Spielberg winning. And he has only gotten 1 director win, and that was at National Board of Review. The Daniels have been winning a lot of Directors Awards and Critics Prizes. So that's the thing. And then James Cameron, he's finally in. Other contenders like Joseph Kosinski, I don't think will happen. I think he will be the only director of the season of a Best Picture nominated film that I would most likely see gets in Best Picture but doesn't get a director nomination. Unless he shows up at DGA, which I would not be surprised if he does. But then you also have to be careful with Baz Luhrmann for Elvis. Oh my gosh. Now, I don't think he will make it at BAFTA or DGA, but that is just insane he got in there. And it's just, oh boy. Like, Elvis, that just shows Elvis is more of a stronger contender than we think. And that's the reason why I think Butler would win the Drama Globe, because Luhrmann's in for director, so. I am a bit hesitant this might be the 5, but if Sarah Polley does get in here, she could replace either Todd Field or Martin McDonagh. And also, you also have to look out for the international director, because I did at one point SS Rajamouli for RRR. But right now, I'm not confident in that because of how that movie didn't do well on the shortlist. It didn't get in for sound, it didn't get in for visual effects, it didn't get in for score, but it got in for the song Not To Not To. It is obviously winning the non-English language category at the Globes, Critics' Choice, and BAFTA most likely, but it can't win the Oscar because India submitted Last Film Show, which did also make it on the shortlist. So he could be the one international non-English language film that would get in the director category. But it could be Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front, which I did have for at least 2 months. Because All Quiet on the Western Front shows up a couple of times on the shortlist. So that could be the bigger international film they could go more towards to. And it depends if he shows up at the long list at BAFTA. So be on the lookout for Edward Berger if he could be the one that might go in there. Because it could be Park Chan-wook, it could be SS Rajamouli, but Edward Berger could be the closest one. But I feel like there's no way they're going to skip James Cameron, the Daniels, or Spielberg. So it's either McDonagh's going to go or Todd Field's going to go. Probably Todd Field. And finally, for my Best Picture predictions, I have gotten Avatar, The Way of Water, Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, for at least one more month, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. So, yes, I know that Del Toro's Pinocchio has not been getting any Best Picture nominations at any critics groups. I understand that. But what I'm looking at when I was doing, because I kind of have already early predictions in the technical categories right now, and you'll see why, because I have it almost in the same level as Nightmare Alley, where it has like at least enough nominations to get in for picture. Now, if Del Toro's Pinocchio does show up at adapted screenplay at the BAFTAs, that could bring it over to the Oscars and maybe for a potential Best Picture nomination, with the additions of original score and original song for Chiao Papa, and it was also on the shortlist for sound. Unfortunately, it missed the long list for visual effects, so that won't happen. But getting in the sound shortlist, that kind of shows it. Production design still could be an opportunity, maybe, but it all depends. And I'm kind of sweating through this hat, or mainly itching through this hat, I would say. Because, yeah, it does come with the strap in the back, so just want to let you know. So, yeah, so I just have Del Toro's Pinocchio as the 10th spot. Now, some people think the Netflix pick would go more towards Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, but I only have it in for screenplay. And, yeah, I forgot to mention, even Janelle Monáe is contention for supporting actress, which I did have at one point. So I just have that as the 10th spot right now because I do not know where else to go. Babylon has now been out, and it's kind of getting a bit kind of divisive, but it's like in the levels of The Whale. And I still feel like Babylon is the Nightmare Alley of this year, where it's going to get a bunch of text to support it, because I don't have it getting in for the acting nominations, I don't have it in for original screenplay, and Chazelle is not in the conversation for director, because somebody did point it out, he feels like Chazelle would be like Adam McKay. I think was the Oscar expert or his brother Bro said that Chazelle would be like what Adam McKay did last season for Don't Look Up, where he's there but not in the conversation for director. So that's why I have Babylon in here still. Banshees is now top 3. Avatar, welcome to the Best Picture lineup. Elvis is also here, and because with thinking of having Elvis getting in Best Picture, I did have to put in a couple of tech categories, including one category, to justify getting it in here, because that picture drama nomination of the Globes just kind of went bizarre. Fabelmans, still confident in that. Top Gun Maverick and Tar. Women Talking did miss picture drama at the Globes, and that kind of shows that it's not winning Best Picture at the Oscars, because sometimes it doesn't usually happen. Like, even Coda was in the picture drama lineup last year, at the Globes, and obviously went go on to win Best Picture at the Oscars. Women Talking probably won't be able to do that. So that's why Women Talking is no longer my picture frontrunner, and I'm joining with everybody else. Everything Everywhere All at Once seems like to be the favorite to win Best Picture. So that's where I'm going with that right now. So I would say the top three would be The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fablemans, Tar, and those are your top four. And probably, because I have an in for director, I probably would say Avatar. So yeah, I think the ones in my director lineup would be the top five. With Maverick in 6th, Elvis in 7th, and Women Talking in 7th, Elvis in 8th, and then Del Toro's Babylon in 8th, Elvis in 9th, and then Del Toro's Pinocchio at 10th. So yeah, this would be my last time to have Del Toro's Pinocchio in my Best Picture lineup. This depends if it gets that adapted screenplay nomination at the BAFTAs. If it doesn't, then you know why it won't get in, because because it's another Pinocchio adaptation, but for many people they would say the stereotypical thing, it's because it's an animated film and the Oscars are basically discriminating the media of animation. So we'll just have to wait and see, but I just think with Del Toro's name behind it and the fact with Nightmare Alley getting in here, because Nightmare Alley only got one Best Picture nomination at the Golden Globes. Now, also, if Del Toro's Pinocchio gets a double nomination at PGA for both animated feature and picture, be on the lookout. That is basically all the Big 8 predictions, but now the last thing I want to do here is to show you guys what I have right now having the most Oscar nominations on nomination day. As you know, the shortlist was released this past Wednesday, December 21st, and I have started predicting the technical categories, but I won't reveal what would be my final ones yet. That will be for the final predictions next month. So for right now, for what I have for the most nominations, no shock, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once would get the most, and I have it getting in 10 nominations. Followed right behind, I have The Banshees of Inisherin getting 8, and then Avatar: The Way of Water and Elvis getting in 7. Yes, I had to get Elvis 7 nominations to justify getting in for Best Picture. And then Babylon, The Fablemans, and Top Gun Maverick with 6. And then Tar and Women Talking with 5. And then All Quiet on the Western Front, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio with 4. See, as I kind of mentioned with the Nightmare Alley thing, Nightmare Alley only got 4 nominations last year, so why not del Toro's Pinocchio? And then Living, She Said, Triangle of Sadness, The Whale, and The Woman King getting 2 each. And all the others just basically the 1. So I feel like Everything Everywhere All at Once is most likely the movie that would get a double-digit nomination. It could get 11 if they do double nominate Jamie Lee Curtis. Maybe original score or original song, because it can't get into makeup and hairstyling. It's not in the conversation for cinematography unless they do. So the movie could get up to 14 nominations, because the 10 I have it are some of the ones that are most likely, except for visual effects and makeup and hairstyling, because those missed the short list for those two. Everything Everyone Wants missed the 2 on that short list, categories on that short list. So like the 10 I have it right now, and then would be like Jamie Lee Curtis, original score, song, and cinematography. Like those are the other ones that could potentially, like, it could get up to 14. And I feel like with Everything Everywhere All at Once, that could be like the first Best Picture winner that had the most nominations since The Shape of Water. Because The Shape of Water received the most nominations, although it only received 4, it won Best Picture. So Everything Everywhere All at Once could be like that, where it gets the most, because we know for a fact that it's going to get a lot of nominations. And it could walk away with picture with the most, because sometimes having the most doesn't make you sure that you're going to automatically win. Now, there have been some scenarios where a movie overperforms nominations against the most and doesn't win Best Picture. Look at The Power of the Dog last year. Look at Roma. Look at The Revenant. So that's a thing. And even though The Fablemans, I have it underperforming a bit, only getting 6 nominations, I feel like that could be the one movie I might regret that could overperform, and I just bet against it in almost everything in the technical categories except for one, I believe. Yeah, that's right. So that's basically it. That is my last Big 8 prediction video before the final prediction. So, yep, next month I will be going through all 23 categories. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, comment down below what you're predicting in the other 8 categories as well, and what films you are doing the technical categories. And I am sweating through this ad or something like that. I don't know how I can adjust this, but anyways, I would like to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas. This maybe be my last video of the year, so Happy New Year to you guys, and see you in 2023.